You got it, Chief? Thank you. Okay, it's 7 p.m., and I'd like to call the Satsuma City Council to order for our regular July the 6th, 2021 council meeting. Most of you have been here many times before, and you know that we always start our meetings with the invocation followed by the pledge. Tonight, we was going to ask Ms. Reese if she would say a word, and so if you would stand and remain standing for the pledge, please.
Let us pray. Father God, we come to you tonight, and we thank you for our many blessings. We ask that you be with our family and our friends, and keep those that are sick, keep your hand over them. And we ask that you watch over the first responders and be with them. And we just ask all this in your name, in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Ms. Reese. Heather, could you give us a roll call, please?
Councilmember Little.
Present.
Councilmember Skelton.
Here.
Councilmember Butler.
Present.
Councilmember Reese.
Present.
Councilmember Phillips.
Here.
Mayor Barlow.
Here. Please let the record reflect that all are here. Moving on down the agenda, approval of the minutes. The last regular meeting was June 15th, 2021.
I'll make a motion to approve as distributed.
Second. Motion made by Mr. Skelton, seconded by Mr. Little to approve the minutes as distributed. All those in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Those opposed. Okay. Number 5 tonight, there's no recognition, so we will move on down to number 6. B.J. Hollins. We understood they were going to be here tonight. They got on the agenda. Jay, we may be able to take care of this and move on. I think the council agreed. Heather, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but several weeks ago we had a damage done by Public Works to a vehicle, and they got the bids, and we agreed to a bid price for repair of the vehicle. We thought the matter was resolved, but it's come back up where they would like to change to they wanted to select the person doing the car repair instead of the low bidder. They moved up, and it's roughly $200 more. Is that pretty much a synopsis of the?
Mayor, I ain't in favor of that. If they want to move up, they can pay the $200. I mean, we've been over backwards with that. We've already paid for overnight shipping.
Pick up the check.
Yeah,
Right.
So,
you know, that's her choice, but I think we need to write her a check for what the price is for the low bidder and be done with it.
well, we made it out to the low bidder,
Yeah.
and she won't come pick it up because she wants the other company to do the work.
Which one is this?
The claim,
Yeah, which claim was it?
it's on B.J. Hollins, where on March the 16th, rock damage to the passenger door of a Ford F-150, red truck.
Wasn't it a matter, do they live here, or?
No, sir, that was the ones,
Right.
that was the RV you're thinking of. This was done back in April.
What I'm getting at was the bids from here, and there was a distant, something to do.
No, sir, we had a bid from Thompson's, Mullinax, and Walker.
But they live here?
Yes, sir, Mount Vernon.
Mount, okay.
But she didn't want the lowest bid to do the work, and, check was made out to them, and she wanted to come before council and discuss that, or her attorney, she said. And I told her, she could come before council, but she.
And that's 2 new car dealerships, right? And then Thompson's?
Well, Walker's, Mullinax, and Thompson's.
Walker's, yeah, okay.
She wants Mullinax to do the work.
Pay the difference.
Y'all just send her the check,
That's what I was thinking.
mail it to her, send it certified mail, say here's the check.
To them,
Oh, it's the Thompson.
We always make it out to the company
So
because in
they
the
have to
past,
do the work.
they would
Okay.
cash the check and not get the work done, and then. So, her the check certified so that she gets it.
Well, we could just tell her the check's there, it's been made out to Thompson, come pick it up. Y'all already told her that, hadn't you?
Yes, sir. We've called her several times about it, and then that was her callback, was that that's not who she wanted to do the work.
Give her a deadline to come pick it up, or either we're gonna, keep the check.
Right, but I mean, she just wanted her vehicle fixed, it was my understanding, whenever they originally approached, right? So she didn't go to those.
She was told to get 3 bids, like we always do, and she brought them in,
So
and
we,
now she told me on the phone if she had known we would go with the lowest bidder, she would have made sure that they were the lowest bidder.
Bid rigging.
Get a rig to be.
right, I mean, if we damaged her
Little late for
vehicle,
that.
I think we owe it to her to get it fixed, but I mean, I don't see a reason that we can call and tell her we've agreed to do the repair.
And he does excellent work too, so there's can't be a quality issue there.
It's a 2018 Ford. I just heard that was y'all's general,
Yeah, we're here to meet with her tonight and see what she had to say, so I think we'll let that stand. Okay. All right, we're moving on to the next person, Miss Melissa Hudson. Please come up.
I wanted to say, I'm here tonight actually to say we're not asking for speed bumps at this time. Apparently, there were more people who did not want them than spoke up before when I was here. But we do feel like and let me say thank you for getting the signs to us very quickly. Appreciate that. We've got 2 signs posted and child at play signs on the same pole, and we appreciate that. Having said that, 25 miles per hour seems to be a bit too fast for our small neighborhood. And so it was mentioned before that if we want to reduce that speed, then we would need to come for that specific purpose for council and ask to have a reduced speed ordinance in our neighborhood. And, I didn't really think 25 was really that big of a deal until I tried to drive it in there. It is too fast to be driving in a small little neighborhood. It's the same speed we drive down Hartley, the same speed we drive down Baker, and it's just too fast whenever you got kids playing in the street. Those are bigger, more traveled roads than our neighborhood. So I don't really know the process to have that done, but that's what I'm here to request. We'd like to request 15 miles per hour.
And this is which neighborhood?
Stonewall Park.
Stonewall.
There's 2 streets.
I don't know how you could get up to 25, honestly.
That's what I thought. And I actually said last time I was here, but I did it, and it was like a little
Feel like a wheelie in the cul-de-sac.
I felt like it took a hazard.
What's the process for that, do you know?
Probably take an ordinance, wouldn't it?
Right. Neighborhood, if y'all make a recommendation, y'all want to change it for safety reasons, then you could change it in that area.
Make an ordinance identifying that specific street.
Because I don't have an issue with
I
it.
would say the majority of people are probably not driving 25 miles per hour, but the ones that are abusing it, that have caused this whole thing, me to be here in the first place, maybe are driving that fast. I can't imagine anybody driving faster than that with how it felt whenever I got to that.
Can you give us a little time to study that? Maybe we could put that on the workshop and just give some of y'all time to go by and look at the signs we've put up in the last couple of weeks, so you can see it in that,
Maybe
kind of
the
give us
chief
a
could
look
set
of.
some over there too, and kind of monitor the traffic.
Also, we did, like I said, we got 2 speed signs and child at play on the same post. If we could get, and I know we need to wait to find out if we're going to have this reduced speed approved, but if we could get one more sign a little farther down, it's, like I said, if you look at our neighborhood from an aerial view, it's the number 4. So it's the straightaway road that we're having the most issue on, and if we could get one just a little farther down also.
Let's decide what we're gonna do with the speed limit before we buy another sign. Okay? That way, either we'll be buying 3 or 1 more.
Yes. So how much when should I follow up? At the next council meeting?
Is that like maybe less than a quarter mile,
It's not long.
maybe like eighth of a mile?
It's
I
a
don't-
little more than that.
Yeah.
I was running a lot, I could tell you.
Sure.
But,
I'd say it's a little over a quarter.
I just don't know how far apart they normally space.
Well, just give us a little time. Like I said, I'd like the council members to have a chance to ride by and look at it, and maybe give the chief time to study it a little bit and see what, other towns or cities close to us have done, where they got neighborhoods kind of like yours, is just cul-de-sacs that, most of y'all's traffic is just the people that live in the subdivision.
Majority, but we do have a lot of through, for such a small little neighborhood, we do have a lot of through traffic, people just looking. And hopefully, just all this talk is going to resolve our issues, but if it doesn't, then we may be back up requesting bumps. I don't know what the ratio was, but there was enough people who spoke out and did not want it once I went back, that we just decided, let's try to just go with the speed,
Yes, ma'am. We were contacted by residents saying that they hope we would try other things before putting in speed humps in the area. Well, okay. Well, thank you for coming and bringing it to our attention. And, maybe we can do some things to help with that, that problem. So it's a nice neighborhood y'all have got over there. So
We have potential. We're trying
I
to
think
get
you
there.
do. But thank you for coming and bringing it up. Okay. Thanks again. Okay, we have one other person that's on the agenda, and I think it's Mr. Wes Hall there. Mr. Hall, if you would, come on up and state your name and for us and tell us what you got in mind.
Okay. My name's Wes Hall. I'm a citizen of Satsuma, and I'm here today, I guess, to petition the court or the council, not the court, but the council regarding the usage of the Steel Creek Marina Lodge. I pastor a church in Satsuma, in Saraland. The name of the church is Celebration Church. And what we've done is, Jesus said, follow me and I'll make you fishers of men. And so what we're trying to do is we're trying to fish, throw a net in a different location and see how many fish we can catch. And so the general idea is we've already agreed to rent the lodge for July, August, September, and October. And what we'd like to do is we're just going to have a gospel meeting. In other words, we're going to have a worship service and a preaching time, and we're going to have some jumpies out there, and we're going to have a meal on the grounds, and we're going to try to reach some people in that location and just see what we can do with them. And so the general plan is to see how this 4 months go. If we're able to successfully catch some fish, then what we'd like to do is rent some next year in 2022. We might want to rent one Sunday every month all year long. Ultimately, we might want to rent it every weekend. We might want to start a church in the marina. So we don't know where this will take us. It may not take us anywhere. At the end of 4 months, we may just return where we are with no fish. But this is a faith expedition, and we just want to see where it takes us. And so I guess the reason I'm here is to see if we could get a reduction maybe in the cost. And because it is a church and a civic situation, and we're just hoping maybe you can help us out a little bit. That's the reason I'm here. So thank you for whatever you can do or will do, okay? I appreciate that.
Okay, when are you wanting to do the services? It's going to be on Sunday mornings,
Right.
you said?
It'd be, I have a list. I have a list with me. But they would all be at this point Sunday morning. And so I believe the first one is July the 18th. We don't plan to advertise that particular Sunday. We just want to go over and kind of feel out the place and see what it's like and see how it works for us. And then we've got on our list, we have August the 1st, and September the 5th, and I forget when it is in October. I think it may be the 18th, but
The first Sunday?
pardon me?
Are you doing the first Sunday?
Pardon me?
First Sunday of each month?
No, that would be the goal, but that
Okay.
didn't work out. I've spoken with Tricia, and those dates were not always consistently available, so we just kind of took whatever was available. So I think what we are set up for right now is August 18th, August 1st, September 5, and I forget the day in October. I think it may be the 17th, 18th, I'm not sure.
So you went ahead and reserved those dates already?
We've already made a deposit on those dates.
Okay.
So we plan to do it whether we get help or not. I'm just here hoping we could get some help, you know?
Mayor, I'd like to put that on the workshop for next week. I don't think that needs to be decided tonight. I'm real leery of the weekends you're talking about, reserving every weekend, because then it would seem like to me we would be punishing other people that also want to rent it if you locked it down completely just to one person,
Yeah.
you know? And I think that needs to be discussed.
And what hours are you talking about if we do move it to a workshop for next Tuesday? I'd like to know.
Well, first of all, I certainly understand that. Tricia indicated to me that Sunday was a day that very few people ever tried to rent the place. And so it seemed that, from her perspective, that it would be good for the city to be able to achieve some revenue where otherwise they, probably don't have a whole lot during that time period. It seems that the activity there is primarily, Friday and Saturday and this type of thing, and, we don't have a need for it on Friday and Saturday. It's really a Sunday event only, and occasionally, depending on the situation, we might want to do a Wednesday night or something like that, but we understand that the price is for all day long, but we would never need it more than 4 hours at a time. So if we came in on a Sunday morning, we might want to be over there at 8 o'clock to set up, but by 2 o'clock we'd be gone at the latest.
Okay. I think as Councilmember Phillips had said, we haven't rented it for the short term like that for just a half a day, and I don't even know if it's listed for a rental in that way. So it is something we'd have to discuss. And of course, our hopes are to start a renovation on it and not too far down the road. So you may go for a month or so that it wouldn't be available. We know it's not going to be available any for that length of time. So, well, good luck on the getting the service started, and if the rest of the council is agreeing, we can discuss it next Tuesday night and just see what y'all think about the hours and the time, and so, but you just need it, you said, for no more than 6 hours. I know you'd said about 4, but that's 6, 8 a.m. to 2.
That's right. It'd probably be, that's right, about 6 hours probably. And we're absolutely flexible, on days of the month. First Sunday would be great. Just because of consistency. If we do a mail out, it'd be like, we want people to, it'd be easier to be consistent. But I understand that we're just one entity, that everybody has a chance to rent it and everybody needs to. And so we would be happy with being able just to fall in line behind the people and rent it based on availability. So.
Okay.
That's all I can say.
All right, well, is that okay with y'all for us to discuss it? Okay. Well, we'll discuss it next Tuesday night and try to let you know what we decide.
Thanks so much.
Thank you for coming. Okay, I think we have one more person. Yes, sir.
I do have a question.
Sure.
Are we free to move ahead with that first rental, July whatever it is, the 18th? Are we free to move forward on that before?
As far as I know,
tell
if he's-
everybody and then we?
Well, you reserved it and rented it, didn't you?
We have,
Yeah,
I just
so,
wanted to make
yes,
sure
sir.
that was okay.
If Tricia's got you on the calendar and listed, yes, sir, it shouldn't be any problem.
All right.
Okay, thank you. Okay, we have one other listed on the agenda tonight. I think it's someone we all know well, Miss Shirley Presnall.
Okay, you had me on the agenda to discuss, that ain't working, so forget it.
Yeah.
I just want to talk about Swamp Fest. We started Friends with Satsuma in 2011, and here it is, 2/21, and we're going to fold our tent and go to the house. We just have worked, you know, we're getting old, we can't do it no more, y'all. Y'all, some of y'all might know what it is, you know, one day to be old. But we've had a blast doing it. We couldn't have done it without the leadership and support of the city council, the fire department, well, all those there. They weren't here when we started it, but they jumped in and supported us doing this through the years. And we have just gotten such a pleasure out of it. And I think it was good for our city. I think it was good for our school. And we're just not going to do it no more. We thought we had a cut. We thought we'd do that. Brent could do it next year, but he said, I just can't do that. I got my hands full. So we had approached the PTO, and they got their hands full. So all the young folks has got their hands full, and us old folks we just can't do it anymore. But I want to recap what we've done so far. Since we started, we've donated $108,945 to the schools. We've sponsored scholarships. We sponsored 20 scholarships. And like I say, without the support of our city, and we couldn't have done it. And thank you for that. And we're gone.
Thank you, Miss Shirley. Thank you for everyone from the Friends for Satsuma City Schools. When I first
They're wonderful people, just very wonderful people.
when I first moved here, that was Madison's first race that she did, and her shirt was ginormous on her. She wore it as a pajama shirt, but she was so proud because they started over by the old football field and ran around Baldwin Square and came back.
But you know what was so funny? That first year, the guy that won the race got lost. I don't know if he won by default or what, but the racetrack was, the race was so poorly laid out. I think the police helped him get to the finish line, but he won anyway.
It was
But we've had
fun.
some ups and downs and some fun times, but
And I have many of the silent auction items in my house now that, I think the library did that.
yes, they did. Well,
so.
a combination of the library and everything.
And I've got
Say community group.
video of Madison riding the mechanical bull that you had. So lots of good memories at Swamp Fest. Thank you.
Cheryl, thank you for all y'all done, all your volunteers and everything. Y'all did this great. Y'all did a lot.
We wouldn't have done what we did without everybody helping. We were just a small group, but once you get a small group working with other people, it, can become a nice thing.
Y'all did a good job.
Thank you, Mike.
Thank you.
It's very sweet.
Yes, I'd like to say also thank you for all the work y'all have done. And you're right, it is a handful of people that have contributed to that and so many other things in the city. And it's kind of sad when you see some of them as they're getting older, and it is more difficult to get
Now, we don't need
the younger
to
people
yet, but
to take part and take the leadership roles that, and you hear that a lot. But that's quite impressive, the amount of money y'all raised, and I think I can speak for the others that have been on the council here in this position. They really appreciate the help, and they couldn't have had the success that they did without the group of some of y'all that's been here for so long. So, thank you, we really appreciate it. Sad to hear that. Okay, that's all we have listed on the agenda tonight. Is there anyone else like to come before the council with anything? I think we got one person back there. Come on up, Mr. Lundy. If you would, just state your name and your address for the record, please, since you wasn't on the agenda, and we can hear what you got.
My name's Richard Lundy, live at 5496 7th Street, just right across the road here. Me and my father-in-law, we built our house over there about 15 years ago. And the ditch that runs on the south side of us was, I guess you could say pretty much he give that to the city for them to maintain and take care of. But which we helped out too, he and I did. And it had been draining pretty well, which we all know the drainage in Satsuma is not very well. And y'all did fix one problem that we had, and it was coming down right beside Miss Little's garden, that ditch there that comes up under the railroad tracks. That was flooding our house. That's the way it naturally run, is what I was told. Well, you was able to shut that gate valve over there and then had the work done down by the railroad tracks and all the water run to the creek. So that fixed that problem. And now, a few years ago, probably 4 or 5 years ago, Mr. James come up and knocked on my front door one day and asked if he could clean the ditch next to us. I said, sure, clean whatever you need to do. Just make sure, if you could please, grade it so it will drain and it won't hold water. And if you made any ruts on our property, because he had to come on our property to do it, which I have no problem with that. And but anyway, the ruts never got fixed. The ditch got dug out, and now it does nothing but hold water. And I have been there, like I said, 15 years, or we have. And we've never had the mosquito problem, which we haven't had as much rain as we've had this year, but mosquitoes is bad. And the ditch stays full of water. The first time I seen it get a little bit dry, which it only had maybe 6 inches of water in it, was about when we had about a week without rain.
Richard, are you talking about running down Maple? Is that, or are you talking about on 7th?
It's on 7th. The ditch runs from 7th to 6th.
Right.
I'm sorry, I didn't.
Out through your yard.
Well, it's on the south side of our yard, right beside the fence between us and the, what is that building?
Right, the insurance adjusters
The
claims?
Yes.
Right.
And it runs straight behind Daphne's all the way down to 6th. And I have 2 ditches that comes across our property, but that was for drainage to go into this ditch that me and Julian put in there to help. Well, everything's backing into our yard. Sunday, on the bad weather we got here, I had a lake in my backyard. I mean, y'all, it was 2 times as big as this room and probably 1.5 foot deep, because the water couldn't go nowhere. The water just backs up from 6th. 6th ditch should be 2 foot deep, 6th Street, and it is now probably 12 inches deep. And it's full of silt, and and the drains that's going under the road that's supposed to drain behind the transmission shop and Randy and them building there.
Right.
That ditch over there is slap full. There's nothing can drain through there. And I mean, my main concern, another concern I'm having with it is, if that ditch fills up with water and it drains into my property, then the houses on Maple, they're getting water into their backyard. And if we get a 2 or 3 day rain and it floods one of them houses, then them people's gonna come at me. Your property's causing this. I can't afford that. So, I mean, something's got to be done. I mean, somebody needs to shoot a grade on it and dig it out and get it where it will drain to 6th and clean the ditches out on 6th. I mean, I know y'all come through and sprayed, because you can see the ditch over there right behind Randy and them's little RV thing.
Right.
Easy in thing, I guess is what you call it. That ditch is dead. They got it cleared out, and I even took my bush hog and I backed over that ditch trying to knock down the high weeds that was over there. The ditches I know have been wet. They used to take care of it. They used to keep it clean. And I'm not throwing darts, okay? I'm just saying, because you and I have already talked about it. And James was there. Well, I think it was your first was your first week here, or?
It was in the beginning.
It was in the beginning. I seen them and talked to them about it. Well, I've talked to James 100 times about this. And I got the same old answer. We're gonna take care of it. Please take care of it. I mean, I'm just asking you straight up. I mean, I used to take it, and I even took my bush hog and I cleaned all the way down the edge because the weeds was this high. And it made my place look bad. So, and I used to be able to get down in there when it would dry out, and I would bush hog it to keep it down, to help the guys, to keep the guys from going down there, because one of the prisoners that was down there cleaning it, or weed eating it, he had a moccasin come through his leg about 4 foot long and about that big around. Scared him to death. Scared me to death.
Right.
But anyhow, did I miss anything?
We can't get back down, we can't get in there since they sprayed it.
Yeah, I can't get down in there no more and with the bush hog because it just is so muddy. And it stays wet constantly.
Yeah, I remember years ago, Julian talking about the ditch and
Yes,
all.
sir.
So it's been an issue for quite some time.
A long
I didn't realize it filled in that bad back there.
Sixth is the problem. If you look from Sixth to Baker, that ditch goes from this deep to nothing. I mean, it's just flat ground. And then the ditch going, I don't know how, I looked at the pipe going under Sixth Street. There's probably that much that's not covered up.
We are trying to get some prices now about blowing some of the pipes out with a contracting company that, has some equipment we just don't have. And if that's one of them, can you add that to the list where we can look at that over there and see if we can't?
I would like to add that we have looked at it, I am aware of it, I have not forgot about you.
Yes, ma'am.
The blockage that we can tell is actually on Highway 43, right at the railroad track. And I have been in constant contact with Aldott to get them to do their section of that. We did spray it to try to do what we could with it. They keep putting me off, that they've got issues with other things, whatever, but we are working on it, I promise you. I do have my inmates now, so we will try to get more done to it.
Well, I wouldn't even want the inmates to get down that, they couldn't get down in that ditch now, if they wanted to weed eat it. But, that's the same story that we've heard for 15 years. That the railroad won't let you do this, or Aldott won't let you do this, or they're dragging their feet. And I understand you can only do so much as a council here. You're the city, But if the state drags their feet, you ain't nothing you do about it. But I just wanted to bring it up again. So everybody, I haven't talked to this council. This is the first time I talked to this council, but everybody, Mr. Barlow, you've known me for a long time. Randy, you've known me. Mr. Butler, I know your brother. I work with your brother, so.
Don't hold me.
Bubba Phillips, he's known me for a lot of years, but if y'all can help me out, best you can.
We will definitely try to do something to help you out. Without speaking with Crystal or James at length or going over there. And these downpours we've been having the last couple of months has been, horrible. It messes up on the weed eating, grass cutting. People don't think they're doing anything, but I promise you the guys are working, and we are trying to address some of the problems, but it is not the best time of the year to try to go in and do drainage repair right now because it makes a mess of wherever we're at. But we will put it on the list, and if you'll give us just a little bit of time, we will look at that. And I think we can do something, if the pipe is filled up going under the road, we should be able to, get somebody, it may take us a few days, but to help get that cleaned out.
Yes,
Mr. Phillips, you got anything on that, any further?
Seemed like Crystal said they're working on it. The equipment's the issue, the rain's the issue. To be honest, there's a lot of equipment we need that we don't have, and the county can't even help us with what he's got to dig out with the equipment they got. You know,
But, you know, I appreciate your time, and thank y'all for what you do. And, one other thing, the worker, the guy that's cutting grass, how's he doing? I haven't heard anything.
I spoke with his mother last week, and they said he would be moving from the Shepherd Center to a rehabilitation facility there in Atlanta. So I'm glad you asked. I should have brought that up in pre-council. I was going to say something. Said he's still in good spirits. He's making improvements. Still got a long way to go, but
That's great.
so he is doing. But thank you for asking, so we
Yes,
can
sir.
bring that up.
Appreciate y'all. Appreciate
Yes, sir.
y'all's
Thanks,
time.
man. Okay, before going again to the regular order, we'll ask one last time, does anybody have anything that we have not brought up to, they think that we need to address? All right, well, that being said, we'll start out with the mayor's report. I would like to say that we'd like to have sympathy for the family of Miss Joanna Carl Seeley, a longtime resident. Her family's been here for many, many years, a fine lady. She passed away since our last council meeting, so I'd like to make sure that if you see any of her family, express a sympathy to them. So, also, Mr. Winston Gardner, another long-term resident of Satsuma, passed away since our last meeting. And one who had passed away before our last council meeting, and somehow it just slipped through without mentioning it, Mr. Lamar Wright, a longtime resident of Satsuma who was residing in Orange Beach here recently, but had an insurance company there just on the other side of the viaduct. So just wanted to bring that up. Also, I think Mr. President pointed out that Mr. Clyde Miller, the former fire chief's brother-in-law, passed away this morning. So if you happen to bump into Clyde or Vicky, you might express sympathy to them. On a little brighter note, last week, there was a 100-year-old birthday party we had here in Satsuma for Mr. Melvin Walker Lewis. He was quite a character, being 100 years old, had talked about some old stories. Mr. Barnett there was with me. We all spoke, his family spoke, and they was very, very nice. So very seldom we get a chance to attend a ceremony like that of somebody 100 years old. Also today is a 96th birthday for Miss Mary Pierce. So if any of y'all see Miss Pierce around town, I know we don't see her quite as much as we used to, but you might want to wish her a happy birthday. She's definitely been a fixture here in our city for many, many years. Earlier today, we met with AlDOT regarding the intersection at Pennsylvania Crossing, coming out of Vaughn's, going into the Chevron and the Pilot, where there's so much traffic issues that we've had. The main thing is the trucks leaving the Pilot. It just creates one pothole after the other, and y'all know that we've tried several different patches, different types of asphalt. I think y'all put some concrete in some of the holes here recently. And if the weather's good, it seems like we're going to get a little time out of it, but some of these days we're having these rains like we're having now, it's not holding up. So they said that the project has been funded by AlDOT to concrete the intersection, much like Highway 158 and 43. I'll go ahead and say it out today. They did say the intersection would have to be closed for 3 to 5 days, they're anticipating right now. So although I'm real happy about that, y'all know that's going to be a traffic nightmare coming out of those subdivisions back there, because it backs up so in the mornings now. So they are studying ways to try to help alleviate problems, especially for the business, because we got so many trucks coming in off of the interstate and all that we don't want them need them bottlenecked or trying to make big turns and things that we know they can't do. But as we progress with the engineering and what their plan is, I will certainly bring that back to the council. I mentioned that the ribbon cutting for the Shrimp Lady was held on June the 26th. That was a very nice event. We discussed in pre-council the cleaning of the City Hall, the lodge, and the senior building. Rather than tie the council meeting up tonight, we're just going to move that to the workshop where we can all sit up here and discuss next Tuesday night ways that we can try to keep these facilities clean. Brother West, as you were saying, that's one of the problems we're having right now is when it does run out 2 or 3 times, 4 times in a week, it doesn't allow us time to clean it, and then there's been some complaints on some of the buildings, and we're trying to make sure that we address that, and all of us are aware, but we're just trying to figure ways that we can, address those issues. So we do hear what the people are saying. And as we said earlier in pre-council, we have got inmates. We did start getting them back today. We were able to get 6. Hopefully, as time goes on, we can add to that number and get more like we used to have. I did have a gentleman call me last week from here in Satsuma, pretty long-time resident. I think Mr. Phillips had spoke to him. He's expressed some interest in the building inspector's position. So he is trying to get on the list with the personnel board now. So Heather spoke with them concerning some positions today. Hopefully, by the next council meeting, I can have some information to pass along to you. So that would be a very valuable position if we could get that filled. Just for the record tonight, we did discuss in pre-council the generator. Councilman Phillips, I think between you and Jay, y'all said that there's testing going to occur Monday. So maybe we could get some movement on that, some way to get that taken care of. Mr. Lundy come up tonight discussing the ditches and all. I went out last week with Crystal a couple of times, and I think over the weekend, Mr. Phillips and I went out. We were looking at some of these ditches and trying to make a list of what we could do because we're getting complaints in several areas of the city, which I think all of y'all are probably getting people saying something to y'all too. But I was thinking, we were parked out front walking behind some houses. It might be a good idea if we got some jackets, some shirts for some of us, or jackets to wear. So we park and go walking out behind there. At least we'd be identified as a council person or something. So, yeah, I don't want us to get shot, but some of these ditches that they're talking about is you'll start out behind 1 or 2 houses and you realize the problem is 100 yards up and you keep walking and walking. And so anyway, I was thinking about trying to get us some apparel that at least would identify who we are so we wouldn't have anybody. Yeah, that wouldn't be good, would it, Mr. Jack? Okay, we've got several items that we've discussed that we're going to move to the workshop. So we are going to have a workshop here next Tuesday at 6 p.m. And hopefully have a little more time to discuss some of these issues and address, the needs instead of tying up a council meeting and blocking for a long time. But other than that, there are several things, but I believe each one of you had it either on your list or said you were address it. So with that being said, I'm going to move on to public services and Mr. Little.
Mayor, that was one thing you touched on, and we can wait till Tuesday night, but hopefully we can get maybe the inmates to help us with some of that cleaning at the senior center. That was one thing I was going to address. Also, I want to thank the county for sending some equipment up and helping us take care of our Zeta debris that we had down at the trash ramp. Most of that is gone now. Also, I wanted to speak just a minute. I know it's on the agenda further down in our consideration. As far as Planning Commission met last Thursday night, we actually had a public hearing addressing a amending of our zoning ordinance. It was approved through the planning commission, and now it has to come through us to be approved also. So that's a little further down the line, but just wanted to give y'all a heads up about that. Oh, and I had another little note that I forgot also. I want to thank Mr. Charles Perry for putting out the flags on the 4th of July. Sorry about that, but thanks to him. I know he works hard at that.
Charles Perry is definitely a good person, puts those out.
Yes, that's all.
Good deal. Thank you, Mr. Little. Moving on to public safety, Mr. Butler.
Only got a couple things. Marine boat is back in service. Tonight I got a check for Mr. Goggin, and he got a check for $100 for that. And when I gave him the check, and I didn't know it at the time, but it was stick together, and the police department got $100 for that too. So, you know, I appreciate that. The report for the fire department for this period of May until the end of June, the calls for 98 EMS calls, and we got 47 fire calls, and the total calls for the month is 145 calls, and 11 calls were outside the city. So that's all I have for that. So I'm through.
Okay. So we had 145 total fire EMS calls for the month of June.
Until
For May and June.
the month of May to the end of June.
Okay, so we're running a little over 70 calls a month. That's still quite a bit. Okay, thank you. Thank you for the report, Chief.
Past 3 or 4 days too.
That's
Okay.
a lot of,
About 6 to 8 calls the past 3 days.
you know, you see, we got calls like 98 EMS calls. So, you know, that saves a lot of lives in the city for that.
Sound like certainly you've been picking up here
They're
lately.
good.
Thank you. Anything else, Mr. Butler?
No, I'm through.
Thank you. Moving on now, Mr. Skelton.
I'm going to ask Chief Waits to expand a little bit on the grant that he received from Shell Chemical about the cutoff saw and the PPV fan.
Between me and Chief Fitching from Shell Chemical, we've been in talks over the past several months, and they gave public service a $5,000 donation for equipment needed. So I submitted to him some equipment we were needed, which one was battery-powered positive pressure ventilation fan that we use for ventilating structure fires, confined space search and rescue, rehab operations. This fan will allow us to do more with because it's electric. It doesn't have brushes in it, so it doesn't create a spark, so we can use it in a hazardous environment too. The cutoff saw is battery powered, lightweight. We can gain entry by cutting locks, hinges, garage doors, or whatever a lot faster. It's quicker access, less maintenance. So thanks to Shell Chemical for allowing us and helping us with the donation of that.
Thank you, Chief. The only other item I have is Tuesday night, we're going to discuss our financing options for our new garbage truck that should be here later this month. We currently have 2 proposals in, and I think we could probably get maybe 1 or 2 more just for comparison. So we should be able to discuss that Tuesday.
Okay, thank you for looking into that. Got anything else?
That's it.
Thank you, sir. Moving on, Ms. Reese.
Yes, sir. I would like to thank Tom Briand and Miss Elizabeth Dufour for their help when they volunteered putting up the post at the Bark Park. Also, Miss Trish for the lemonade. It was very refreshing. We will have some future volunteer opportunities coming up. We have to put the fence up. We have the post up. We need to put the fence up and the top rails. Also, we'll be grooming more of the area to get it ready for the kids and dogs once the park opens. We are looking at purchasing some of the waste stations and benches, accessories that go with the dog park, as well as getting a sign with rules to keep people safe. Also, on Thursday, July 15th, the Pritchard Municipal Dinner will be held at 7 p.m. Let Heather know if you want to attend so she can RSVP for you. Also, the library was awarded $300 from Lensing Fibers for their, internet program, online program for tutoring for help for students and their parents. Also, in addition to the donations that Mr. Coggin gave to the police and fire department, I was told that he also donated $100 to the library. So thank you for that. We will talk about the tennis courts and the welcome signs further down in the agenda. I did want to mention that Mr. Kaysen with Youth Baseball they purchased 3 new scoreboards that they want to put up, and Mr. Kaysen provided a quote for United Rentals in the amount of $617.94 for equipment to do that, since the city does not have that proper equipment. This covers the delivery and the pickup. We've asked Crystal to request a line locate, and she has. He also is a licensed electrician, so he will apply for a permit and be able to do the work in kind. So I would ask that we move forward with renting this equipment. And we're looking at getting a quote on LED lighting and poles at the ballparks. I've mentioned before that the county gave Citronelle $500,000, so I'm hoping that they have some money for us for those upgrades. We're looking at getting the schedules for fall baseball, fall softball, and football coming up. In fact, football started their registration tonight at Lions Park. I think that is it. One more thing. I would request that we pay STM Landscaping for their trees for Candy Cane Lane in the amount of $1,990. They did request, according to my messages here, on February 16th for the amount that we owe them for trees that they provided during the 2020 Candy Cane Lane, which you all know is it's a sponsorship opportunity to advertise your business outside of City Hall. So that was the second annual. And they're a local business here in Satsuma, husband and wife. So I hope that we'll be able to pay them for the trees they provided. And that's all.
Yes, ma'am. And I'm sure we will pay the bill. But as I said, I tried to call. First, I was going to apologize about it taking us so long when I found out last week they had not been paid. And I was hopefully waiting on them to call me back so we could find out. And if we do this type of venture in the future, I'd like to make sure that we get our bill timely and get them paid. I don't want to see anybody waiting 7 months on their payment. You have anything else?
No, sir.
Mr. Phillips?
I got a few items, Mayor. Allison, heard you mention benches for your ballpark. I was at the splash pad this weekend, and I noticed the children were out there playing, but there was 2 mothers sitting inside the fence on the concrete. And I got to looking, there's no benches in that area. So you think it'd be possible when we do get them benches to get 3 or 4 and add in that area right there for them moms?
Yeah, we do have that on the list.
Okay. It's
For a
just,
couple years now. I've been
it's just
wanting-
strange, they had a tile down sitting on the concrete, and I got to looking, and there's benches all over the park, but none right there, and the mothers, they're not gonna leave them children far.
This is my to-do list.
Okay.
And so you'll see here on Splash Pad, get quote on waterproof benches inside the fence and the gator feature. Because when they built the Splash Pad, they have, I want to say maybe 3 spots where we could upgrade. And I had gotten a quote on a gator feature.
Well,
And so those are things that we would
the
like to
benches
do.
sitting that we got all around the park work great too. If they're cheaper, I just thought it'd be nice to have some type benches put in there.
Yeah, the ones that are wrapped with the plastic coating that are waterproof.
Okay, it's just a
On the
thought.
list.
I wanted
It would
to
be
throw out
nice,
there.
yeah.
Okay, also I talked with Brian Weeks of Diversified Roofing a little earlier. He said depending on the weather, if the weather allowed, that roof would be done at the library this week. But he's gonna call that day to day, so it might not happen this week. You know, it's the rain we've been having, so they're just waiting to have 1 or 2 good days to be able to do that. So that's good to hear all the materials in and they're ready to go on it. Okay, and also the mayor mentioned earlier that we did get our prisoners starting this morning. Crystal said they're starting with 6 prisoners, so things maybe will start progressing a little bit quicker on some items, some weed eating and trimming the brushes and ditch cleaning, so glad that's happening. The beacon lights were installed at HP Kane Bridge. We're still waiting on the order signs for these lights. The new bush hog coming today, and that's going to help us tremendously on the grass cutting. You know, get it hooked up and going. Speed bump at Dale Drive was installed, so we'll see how that works out. And the speed limit signs at Stratford Lane and Travelers Court were installed, which you heard earlier. And, you know, we've done miscellaneous weed eating and ditch cleaning and spraying. The spraying's been tough with all the rain because they got to wait on it to be dry to spray it, but we're trying to get that done. And been trimming overhead limbs, getting them out of the way. Okay. And that's pretty much all I got, Mayor.
I forgot to mention one thing. The Lions Club sign will be in soon. So they bought a new sign for Lions Park. It's going to look good. They've already done the primer and the painting on the pole. So as you pass by, the caboose is on one side. You're going to have the new sign on the other, in addition to the new scoreboard. So keep your eyes out for that.
Thank you. Is that it, Mr. Phillips?
One other item, Mayor, being we're having a workshop Tuesday, I would like to add to it to discuss all these intersections that's getting so rough and see if we can't come together with a plan on what we're going to do in the future on them and seeing how much money we got available to do them.
Yeah, we can discuss that. Mr. Harrison called me just before the council meeting tonight. They were working on some of the requests that we sent several months ago about the intersections that where, like near the railroad tracks and all, where they're so rough and we haven't got them up. They said they had not had that type of request before. Mr. Skelton probably could tell you that, but he said our request was a little unique, but it looks like we had paving where the roads were paved, but they didn't go like to the railroad in several places, and then we've tied into some streets where they, for some reason, like where Harrison goes into Thomas and all this, really rough. I don't know if they did some.
I think a lot of these areas have been identified. It's just now trying to get a plan together and what we can afford to do and try to move forward some of it.
We did. We discussed that, and I've tried to clarify some of those today with them. So, but yes, sure, we can discuss it. Okay, if there's nothing else from the reports on the council, we'll move on to number 8, which is items for discussion and or consideration. Moving on, the first thing on the that for discussion is payment of the bills.
I make a motion to pay the bills in the amount of $65,307.81.
Second.
Motion made by Mr. Skelton, second by Mr. Butler, I think it was over here, wasn't it? You seconded it, Mike?
Yeah, I did.
Okay, I didn't know if you were Mr. Little. Motion made by Mr. Skelton, seconded by Mr. Butler, pay the bills in set amount. All those in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, let it show we paid the bills. Number B.
Make a motion to consider the resignation from Brooke Miller effective July 9th, 2021, and to ratify the calling for a list for Assistant City Clerk.
Second.
Motion made by Mr. Skelton, accepting resignation of Brooke Miller as Assistant City Clerk and requesting a list from the Personnel Board to fill the same position.
You need to state, it's in
One
good
piece.
standing.
Yeah, I was going to
I
say
figured you were
it
gonna say
would be
that.
in good standing.
Okay. Motion made by Mr. Skelton and seconded by Mr. Little, accepting the said resignation and accepting it in good standing, and then calling for the list to fill the position of Assistant City Clerk. Any discussion? All those in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Those opposed. All right, thank you. Moving on. C, discuss and consider quote on repairs to the tennis courts.
Heather and Crystal and myself, was anybody else there? The gentleman from American Tennis Courts. We all met at Wright Park, and as you may know, we discussed the resurfacing project that we have in our capital budget. I do have a quote here. I think you have it in your packet as well. It's a good opportunity with the scope of work to go out for additional bids. I feel like, so our budget is $32,000 for this, and with the work of the resurfacing, the option one, and then adding the right-way crack repair system, which I feel is a must, we'd be left with $5,500 for accessories, and accessories are on the second page. I spoke to Jeffrey, Mr. Nichols, and we talked about, if you look on the second page, I guess that's the back. The top one is adjust and reinforce the gate in the northwest corner for $720. So basically, this is replacing the rails, readjusting the hardware, and adding reinforcement. Right now, the door won't shut and the balls will go underneath. That brings me to the second one, which is the tension wire on the ends of the courts, which would be the north and the south side. That'll keep the balls from rolling under the fence. In addition to that, though, we would need the city to maintain digging out under the fence. So the city would need to dig out under the fence to make sure water can run off and that fence can come as close to the court as possible. Another option would be for 3 row bleachers. Those are a bit pricey. Maybe that's something that we can do now or in the future, but this would allow for people to have a place to sit outside of the fence and watch. The next few items I feel are essential if we're going to have the net and the other items in option one. Then we would need to sand and paint the posts, add the score tube scorekeeper, which will go on the side. It's a way for people to keep score, obviously. A court valet, which includes a trash can, because right now there are no trash cans, so it's a place for people to put their waste. It has a key tray for small items and as well as your drinks. Right now we don't have anything to put things on. The roll dry, I actually scratched that one off. It's like a roller that would keep the court dry if you wanted to play after it rained. It's nothing that, I feel like it would grow legs and walk away because it's not an attached piece. Court side or bench, we could start with 2, but he said traditionally there's 2 on each court for a total of 4. That would be a PVC rosin 5-foot bench that we could secure to the fence with a chain and a lock. You will see there is no warranty on the crack. So it's just, unfortunately, he said they don't offer a warranty on that because of the way the court is built and the foundation underneath. There's no guarantee. So that's basically what this is. But if you go to option 1, that's on the first page, and go 1 through 9, I think that basically covers everything that we're looking for. It's got the pickleball court, the new lines. Right now, we talked about the court is unsafe to play on because of the gaps. Well, the right-way crack repair system will take care of that, and that's charged by linear foot. So we can either vote on this now or get some quotes from some other places and maybe entertain those at the workshop. I'm gonna leave it up to y'all. If you have any questions, I might could answer. Do y'all want to vote on it now?
No.
I'd like to discuss it some
I
more.
would too, thank you.
What questions can I answer for you or get answered so we can have that at the workshop?
You know, one question I got, and I understand this is in the budget, and I'm just getting nervous about expenses. We're talking about the roads we need to pave, not having the money. Things we didn't have in the budget was 2 hurricanes last year, 3 managers retired that we had to buy out. So we put out a lot more money than was expected in the budget that wasn't there. I want to be sure we got the money to do the things we need to do. You know, before, in other words, I'm not against doing the tennis court, but I just want to be sure we got money to do the things that need doing, like this road paving and things like that, before we spend money on that.
Can we get an updated budget or expenditure report at the workshop?
Yeah,
So we
that'd be
can see
good.
where we are?
Just see where we're at with money.
What other questions?
Well, you touched on one of them, I don't know how many companies we have local that we could get to give us prices. I would like to see, anytime we spend that kind of money, where we've got bids from 2 or 3 companies, if possible. I mean, I know that sometimes we do work that we can't, I mean, we've been discussing somebody we're trying to use in Public Works, and we can't really find anybody that's comparable, but I feel like a scope of work and a bid from 2 or 3 companies ensures that we, are getting the best price possible, and we can look at other people's quotes.
I've got 2 other companies here, Lower Brothers Tennis Courts, and a phone number, and then Sports Master Sports Surfaces, which I think they're in Pritchard. So we can reach out to them. So that'll be 3 total. And then I did ask Jeffrey with American Tennis Courts, and he has a gentleman by the name of Barry, because I asked for his competition. So he said he could give me Barry's information, and we would get a quote from him as well.
I think, along with Mr. Skelton, Mr. Phillips, that's all I have. So if we can discuss it maybe further. And I did ask Vicki about getting with Heather so we could get a financial, so we know where we're at, because I feel like we'd probably want to know that with that truck coming up. And so there were some questions there, but,
Okay.
All
Thank
right.
you. Do we need to do
Table it till
anything?
the next meeting.
Okay.
Discussion of the workshop.
I move that we table the discussion on considering quotes on repairs to the tennis court.
Second.
Motion made by Ms. Reeves and seconded by Mr. Little to table the matter until we can have further discussion on the matter. All those in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
And those opposed. Okay, we'll talk further about that. Moving on to number D, consideration of quote on the welcome sign at the entrance to the city.
In your packet, there are 3 renditions of welcome sign. You've seen them before, and it's time to pick one. And I think we did a combination of 2nd and 3rd page on the 1st page. And just a reminder, the south entrance sign was damaged in the hurricane, and we did receive funding. I don't know the dollar amount, I don't have that paper, but we did receive funding for
All
that.
3 in the same price.
I think so.
He said they're all 3 roughly around, for 2 signs to match, they're 60.
So they pretty much the same price, just as which one.
So roughly.
Was this going to be, it's been so long now, was this beautification budget this was coming out of? Okay. So our welcome sign is now being upstaged by the Baptist Church sign of plywood.
Mhm.
But I know they're working hard on the sign too. Do you guys want to vote on this? Do you need some more time?
The sign, especially the one in the middle, it's basically looks about like what we've got, right? Other than the columns that it connects to?
It is metal, right?
It don't say.
Foundation not illuminated sign, single face mounts, single panel, aluminum.
That ain't-
panel with monographic.
That's not in our packet, is it? What, I mean, I was-
It's written right.
I can't read
It's
mine.
very faded.
That's what I'm
y'all got good eyes. I ain't no way in the world I could
See that?
See how you was reading it.
They offer a warranty with the painting all on it.
I think so.
Yeah, so it'll be just kind of up to date. And basically, we took, if you look at the second sign,
Poster aluminum too.
we didn't like the rounded, but we liked the post. And then on the third, it said Alabama, and I thought we'd just take off Alabama. And that, the third one, I wasn't a big fan of the post on the side. I think these make more of a statement, bold.
The second one is sandblasted wood.
Yeah, the second one sandblasted like what we had. And the first one, he said would last a lot longer.
Heather talked to the guy, I did not talk to the
About
guy.
this one, the first one?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
I'm not opposed to getting the signs. I would like to read a little more. And also, I wouldn't mind having, if there's anybody else, instead of just one company, I don't even know who we're saying. I mean, the signs certainly need.
Heather actually did this project. I say project, I don't know. She's done all the legwork, I'm just announcing it. But I know that was, it was a need because of the storm damage. And so that's where these signs came out of. So who we use and whatnot, I don't know that that's really, it's not important. So if we have other people, then, I mean, I've asked for people to even design that area, but it seems that no one wants to give input. I don't know. I have a hard time getting quotes from people and getting options. So, maybe we reach out. If you guys have somebody in mind, we can reach out to them and see.
I'd just like to see what the materials are and the size and all that, so we can know, so you can look compared to what we got.
Sure, yeah.
See it, and like I said, the materials, I mean, some of y'all
Does he have
probably
a-
know more than I do about
I'm sure he
what'll
can bring
hold
a
up.
sample by, and I can get with Tom, he just mentioned them. when he
Yeah,
gets
get some
by.
like specs on it. I know it says to scale, but I don't know that it's got, and maybe it's in this box and we just can't see it.
I hate to keep pushing it off, but do you think, Heather, you could get with Tom and we could get a little more information so we could
Yes, sir.
see a little more? Do y'all have a problem with that? So we can,
We may be able to have it by Tuesday, the guys. pretty
if not, at least we can, okay,
I
if
think
not,
he lives here too, so.
okay.
Well, no, this has been going on for a while, so it's not gonna hurt to go a little bit longer. So,
Make a motion, we table the welcome sign at the entrance of the city until we can discuss it more at the workshop.
Second.
Motion made by Mr. Little, seconded by Mr. Skelton to table this so we can explore a little further the details of the sign. All those in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Those opposed. Going on E, Mr. Butler, I think it's going to be a fire matter. Consideration of Josh West to attend NFPA
West.
West, yeah. 10, I guess that's 1006 Surface Water Rescue Class in Prattville. Cost is $1,000. Certainly, anybody that was out on the water Memorial Day weekend or this past weekend can attest to the boat traffic we have. So that's good. Mr. Butler, you okay with that?
Yeah, I'm good. I'll make a motion.
Second.
Motion made by Mr. Butler, seconded by Mr. Skelton to approve Josh West attending the class in Prattville. All those in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Those opposed. Okay, that's good.
Thank you, if I may, Mayor, that's the first one of our first major steps in getting our water rescue off and going. Water a lot of equipment too, so this is really the right direction with water risk.
Good, thank you. F, I didn't know until the agenda come out we was going to discuss this tonight, but that's consideration of calling for a full-time police officer list from the Personnel Board.
I'll make a motion that we do this.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor signify
Aye.
by aye, and those
Aye.
opposed?
Aye.
Moving on. The G, consideration of reappointment of Larry Spikes to Satsuma Library Board.
Make that motion.
Second.
I think that's good. Motion made by Mr. Little, seconded by Mr. Butler for reappointment of Mr. Larry Spikes to the Library Board. All those in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Congratulations for getting back on, Mr. Coach Spikes. Thank you for all the time you've put in with all these projects around the city. And the last thing we have on the agenda is something we discussed in pre-council, and Mr. Little brought it up earlier, and that's consideration of setting a public hearing for recommendation to amend the zoning ordinance. And that would be allowing, in certain instances, the planning board could grant the use of RVs or boat parking in a B1 instead of having to require it to be changed to a B2. It was discussed at, 3 planning board meetings. There was no opposition against it.
Did they post for a hearing there, Mayor?
We did have a public hearing there, and there was nobody there, no opposition to it.
They don't have the authority to change the zoning ordinance, only the
Right.
council can. So we have to set it tonight, and
Okay.
I think if Mr. Little, he'll discuss it a little further. Or
Yeah, what date would that be on?
Is it 30
Yeah,
days?
That week,
15 days, I think.
14? So it'd be right on top of the next council meeting. Could we do that? What date is that?
20th.
What?
Next council meeting,
Yeah,
the 15th. I'm sorry, it's the 20th.
20th, right.
20th?
So we're exactly, if we get it out tomorrow, it'll be 14th.
That'd be good. Make that motion that we set that public hearing for the 20th.
Well, let's set it 6:45. I can't imagine there being any real opposition, so nobody else has even commented of the.
At 6:45
Yeah.
in the evening.
Okay, motion made by Mr. Little,
Second.
seconded by Mr. Skelton, to post a public hearing on July the 20th, Tuesday, July the 20th at 6:45 PM. Purpose of the public hearing will be to amend the zoning ordinance, allowing a change in the B1 and B2 allowance, or allowing in B1.
And I've got a table of permitted uses if anybody wants to see it, exactly how it'll be rewritten.
We'll get that for you too.
Yeah, maybe just have us a copy of it, or everybody else. Thank you.
Mayor, we had one other item we wasn't discussed, I just seen here was the uniforms.
Hey, we need to take care of this first, right? Don't
Yes, we
have to
hadn't
vote?
voted on it yet, I don't think,
Yeah.
Mr. Phillips, if that's what you're saying. Mr. Little, you made the motion to call for the public hearing, and Jason seconded it. All those in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
And those opposed. Okay, we'll have the public hearing next week. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off there, Mr. Phillips, but.
That's
Mr.
all right, I
Little
thought
wasn't
y'all was through
correct.
the discussion, I wouldn't have
Hadn't
said
got through
that. I just seen where, we got our uniforms to come back up for renewal, so we kind of that needs to be discussed sometime pretty quickly, too.
That is correct. I know, Crystal, have you explored any other companies at this point for?
Looking in the bill, so we're
In this area, they were not
Somebody needs to be better at cutting that out.
satisfied with it.
We're not working.
because how are they, like Chuck Washington, if he's not working?
Let's try to get together. I know you're
I'll find out.
going on vacation later in the week and be gone a few days, but tomorrow we'll get together and see if we can find any other companies and see if there's, you know, I don't think there's any complaints with the company we have now, is there? So, and if so, I mean, it's the same contract y'all had for several years, so, but I did tell them I did not wish to enter into a contract without discussing it with y'all. So, everybody knows that the contract's up for Public Works employees, and we will be discussing, and I'll let y'all know how we move on that, okay?
We need a vote on the work session,
Okay,
official.
okay. We had several little items tonight that we wanted to get more information on, and we agreed to, in pre-council, to have a work session set up at 6 PM next Tuesday night, which I believe will be the 13th, 6 PM. So,
I'll put that in form of a motion.
Second.
motion made by Mr. Skelton, seconded by Mr. Butler to set a workshop for next Tuesday night for other things we've discussed, either to be discussed or tabled, if we have the information. All those in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Okay, we got a work session next week. Now, before we adjourn, is there any other business that needs to come before the council or anything you know that we haven't taken care of?
I talked with the guy that was, the motorcycle rider that got injured last week. Talked with him Thursday. He's in good spirits. Has a broken femur, had a concussion. But he's looking forward to riding his bike again when the day comes. So just continue to pray for him.
That's good, thank you. All right, any other business come before the council? We thank all of you for attending and those watching and commenting. We do appreciate it. Y'all have a good night, so at this point, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
Motion made and seconded to adjourn. See y'all next Tuesday night.